Continuing this theme, like Paul was just talking about, there's a lot of great work, a lot of great collaborators. We need participation in each and every one of these from each and every one of you. Now we're going to hear from the CMDIR. A lot of you have had a chance to talk to Sabine this weekend, but she's another one of these people that give her a call, right? Hope you don't mind. Give her a call and send her an email, and just going to talk about the CMDIR.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed spending the weekend with all of you, and it's been a privilege as well. And I need to read off my script a little bit because I'm not great at winging it, and I haven't heard my voice through a microphone in a long time, so please bear with me. And I have a special treat for you at the end of this presentation. So as you all know, I'm Sabine de Chastonay. I'm a volunteer research associate with the Congenital Muscle Disease International Registry, also known as CMDIR. I have had the pleasure of meeting many of you this weekend, and I'm excited to tell you all today about the CMDIR and how you can be part in finding a treatment and cure for MTM. Three topics I will cover today are the CMDIR, how we use data provided to the CMDIR by you, and the current myotubular myopathy studies conducted by the CMDIR. The CMDIR is an online database, very much like the Myotubular Trust and Alison Fraser's database. We have close to 1,200 registrants worldwide. It is the largest global patient registry for individuals with congenital muscular dystrophy, congenital myopathy, and myasthenic syndrome. The 132 myotubular and centronuclear myopathy registrants account for over 10%. So this number will go up as soon as we input the new families who have joined this weekend. The registry has so far been translated into Chinese, Spanish, and Portuguese. More languages are soon to come. The CMDIR was founded in 2008 by 3 parents with children affected by a congenital muscle disease. It is funded by a group of advocacy organizations, the Joshua Fraze Foundation, a foundation building strengths and cure CMD, and has recently been endorsed also by the MDA. And this is us. This is the team behind the efforts of the CMDIR back in Los Angeles, including 6 high school summer interns. They are helping with the data entry and work on special projects. And this is you. This slide will reappear during my presentation, so please keep your eye on the red boxes and the red lines as they will change. You are the most important part of the CMDIR. When you register, you create your own online profile with your personal data and information about your symptoms and the past course of the disease. Very much like you've just seen in Annie Lennox's presentation. So I'm not going to go into how we do this on our website. This data is secure, confidential, and private. We strictly adhere to HIPAA standards. Why should you register? Registering with the CMDIR is free, and more importantly, it is useful to you and the research community. Registering gives you access to regularly posted online newsletters, to webinars and video presentations given by experts in the field, as well as to congenital muscle disease specialists who can optimize your care. And soon a family handbook with treatment guidelines for congenital myopathy will be posted on the website. If you have concerns or questions regarding your or your child's disorder, a counselor at cmdir.org is available 24/7 for you. These 2 quotes capture the value of a registry, of any registry. Simply put, we will not be successful in finding a treatment or cure unless we know who the affected individuals are, what the diagnosis is, and how the disease is affecting the individual. This quote was coined by Dr. Ann Rutkowski, the Cure CMD co-founder and CMDIR chairman. And a registry is only as good as the data it contains, was coined by Richard Cloud, another Cure CMD co-founder and now current CEO of Rothelia. So this slide illustrates why registering and completing your profile on the CMDIR website is essential for finding a treatment and cure for myotubular and centronuclear myopathy. You contribute information about your disorder. Your data will aid research. When you register, we ask you to provide us with medical records or with an authorization to obtain your medical records. All these records will be uploaded into your profile, where they are always accessible to you and free for you to download. An annual survey going online in November 2013 will track the course of your child's condition, such as ambulatory and respiratory changes, weight, sleep study data, medication, hospital and emergency visits. So get involved. Ongoing research studies and clinical trials are posted on the CMDIR website as they become available. The CMDIR also provides a service to the research community and to physicians. We register the global MTM-CNM population. This is important for future clinical trials because we need to know who the affected individuals are and where they live. We collect longitudinal information to learn about the course of the disorder. We give scientists access to this data in a de-identified form. For example, your genetic mutation or disease complications. Scientists then use the de-identified data collected in the registry to better understand the disease and to design research experiments with the goal to investigate malfunctioning mechanisms caused by the mutations and then find ways to make weak muscles strong. So these results of these experiments will then help the pharmaceutical industry to develop a treatment and cure. The CMDIR is also linked to the biobank and the tissue bank. We run research studies in collaboration with other investigators and institutions. The CMDIR also puts on traveling local clinics in collaboration with Dr. Bonnemann from the NIH, and these clinics are sponsored by Cure CMD. We help doctors diagnose their patients with congenital muscle diseases in various clinics in the United States and abroad, for example, in Brazil and China. Knowledge gained by analyzing the data stored in the CMDIR serves to educate healthcare providers about congenital muscle diseases during these traveling local clinics. So I just want to talk a little bit about the de-identified information, because oftentimes families and individuals are hesitant to register because they're afraid of their data being on the internet and in cyberspace. So the CMDIR website is secure. Only you and select CMDIR staff can access your data. The goal is to make the information you provide searchable while protecting your personal identity. And you make it all possible. Research with the goal of better patient care and disorder management, as well as development of a treatment and cure, is only possible with you and the data you provide to us and, of course, to other registries. Each and every one of you counts, so it was amazing to see all the support your families have and everyone who joined in spending the weekend here with us. On the next slides, I'll show you what the CMDIR can do with your profile data. This chart shows that the majority of registrants with CNM and MTM live in the United States, but also that we have registrants from many other countries. And this looks very similar to Allison's map. So we can map where the registered individuals with MTM live. Same for CNM. Knowing where potential study candidates live is helpful for organizing clinical trials, since many individuals affected with MTM do not travel well. Therefore, it is important to bring the trial locations as close to the communities as possible to make participation in clinical trials convenient. So the next slides focus on MTM. Is this the pointer? The left chart shows you the registered MTM families or individuals with or without genetic confirmation. So about more than half of them are, or a third is genetically confirmed versus 56 registrants who have a suspected MTM diagnosis. The center chart shows you the females versus the males, and the last chart plots the MTM individuals alive versus the deceased. This slide clearly shows the prevalence of MTM in males. It also illustrates that females who are affected have a longer life expectancy, which is most likely due to milder symptoms which manifest later in life. This chart shows the ethnic background as provided by the registrants. Illustrated in these slides are the current breathing status and current motor function status of individuals affected with MTM at the time of registration. As you can see, the majority depend on breathing support over 12 hours a day and is non-ambulant. There are currently 4 MTM studies in the United States: the genetic testing and event study, the natural history study by the Dowling Lab, and the MTM study at the Beck's Lab. The CMDIR is involved in the MTM genetic testing study and the MTM event study. The genetic testing study provides free genetic testing. It is funded by Valerian Therapeutics, as you have heard from Deb yesterday, and is coordinated and sponsored by the CMDIR. And genetic testing is performed at the University of Chicago. The purpose of the study is to genetically confirm everyone who presents clinically with MTM, and also to qualify for the MTM event study, and thirdly, to establish a large cohort of individuals confirmed with XL-MTM to participate in future clinical trials. Those eligible to participate in this study are males and females in the US and Canada so far, and they have to fulfill 2 of the following 3 criteria: a muscle biopsy consistent with MTM, a clinical diagnosis, and or family history. And the procedure is very simple for the study participant. You will receive a commercial saliva collection kit in the mail, collect a sample according to the instructions in the kit, and forward the package to the genetic testing lab at the University of Chicago. There, the sample will be tested for a mutation in the MTM1 gene by sequencing, and should this approach not provide a conclusive result, deletion duplication testing will be performed, and hopefully the submitted saliva sample will be sufficient for the second test. Otherwise, the blood sample will have to be submitted for further analysis. Move over to the event study, and the eligibility criteria for this study are genetically confirmed XL-MTM males with a muscle biopsy consistent with MTM and a family history of MTM. So it's either or. The procedure of this study consists of 12 monthly telephone surveys of approximately 30 to 45 minutes. And this is William, the first enrollee in the MTM event study. He's actually attending the conference with his parents and sisters, and there's many more families here that have enrolled in the meantime. And I really appreciate your collaboration in this. This chart shows the MTM study participation. So far, we have 3 individuals enrolled in the genetic testing study. I just enrolled one more person last night, so appreciate that. And all these numbers are based on CMDI registrants, so we have an additional 12 or 11 now candidates for the MTM genetic testing study pending on profile completion, because one of the prerequisites is completing the intake survey on the registry. And this is the number of participants in the MTM event study, and there's a whole bunch of you that I still would like to enroll for this study. So please come and see me if you have not enrolled yet in any of these 2 studies, or if you know of someone who might benefit from enrolling in these studies. So together we can make clinical trials happen. Your participation is vital in finding a treatment and cure. So thank you so much for your time and interest, and I have a treat for you. I hope it's going to work.
What is congenital myopathy? Here's a quick story to help you understand. This is Jimmy, and this is his fraternal brother, Timmy. At birth, Jimmy's parents noticed he looked different from the other babies in the hospital. He wasn't moving around very much. He felt unusually floppy, and he had a soft cry. The doctor noticed Jimmy wasn't breathing normally, so we sent him to the intensive care unit and put him on a ventilator to help him breathe. Jimmy's doctor told a neurologist to come and see Jimmy to figure out a reason for his floppiness. The neurologist decided to run some tests on Jimmy. First, he lifted Jimmy up as he was lying down to check if his head lagged behind the rest of his body as he pulled Jimmy up. It turned out it did. The neurologist also checked Jimmy's breathing problems by going through a spirometer test in order to check his forced vital capacity, which is the amount of air that his lungs can hold. She also ordered a swallowing study because he had trouble feeding and getting nutrition and found that he needed a feeding tube. He also noticed that Jimmy had hypotonia, or a low muscle tone, which led to muscle weakness and contractures in his joints, which did not give him his full range of motion. The neurologist recommended that Jimmy's parents get a muscle biopsy, a microscopic image of a muscle, to diagnose Jimmy. The location of where the biopsy is performed is important. In order to get an accurate diagnosis of the disease, the most affected area of the muscles should be taken. In order to find the most affected muscle to get accurate results from the biopsy, the doctor first performed an ultrasound, a technique of using sound waves to visualize structures too small to be seen by the human eye. He used this to check exactly where the affected muscles were. Another way to check would be an MRI, but this technique would not be very effective on young children such as Jimmy, because it is too loud, and Jimmy would have to stay very still for a long time. We found the most affected muscles in the thigh. Jimmy went to a surgeon. The surgeon removed some tissue from Jimmy's thigh muscle. The tissue was then frozen and sent to a lab. The pathologist at the lab later evaluated the muscle biopsy. He determined that Jimmy has a form of muscle disease called congenital myopathy, or CM. Congenital myopathy is a genetic muscle disorder present at birth that leads to muscle weakness. It differs from another muscle disorder, congenital muscular dystrophy, because it is not progressive, meaning that it usually does not get worse over time. The problem in CM lies inside the muscle cell. To understand congenital myopathy, we first need to understand how muscles work on a cellular level. Muscles create movement by contracting and relaxing. When a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine is released from the nerve, it attaches to a receptor, which then in turn causes a chain of events, which ultimately leads to the release of calcium. This calcium binds to actin, which then binds to myosin. Actin and myosin are the basic building blocks of muscle. However, in congenital myopathy, the calcium is not released, so muscles can't contract. There are many different diseases that fall under the congenital myopathy category. The 5 main forms are core myopathy, rod myopathy, core and rod myopathy, congenital fiber type dysproportion, or CFTD, and centronuclear myopathy. So which type does Jimmy have? Well, we can narrow it down by comparing some muscle biopsies and gene diagnoses. Here's an example of centronuclear myopathy muscle biopsy. Notice how all the nuclei are in the center of the cells, how the cells are different sizes. An unaffected muscle cell would have nuclei on the outside of the cells, and all of the cells would be the same size. A few weeks after the muscle biopsy, Jimmy's doctor asked for a genetic test through blood testing. When the results of this test came in a couple of weeks later, we found out that the MTM1 gene was affected and that caused Jimmy to have a disorder. We still don't know everything about congenital myopathy, but scientists are working hard to understand how it works, how to help people deal with it, and how we can one day find a cure. Thanks for watching. For more information on congenital muscle disorders, you can visit www.cmdir.org.
This was a production of our summer interns, and Anne just said I should offer their services to all of you. So if you have a good script you would like to turn into a movie, then they would be more than happy to help you guys. And
Can I post that to the website?
it's not published yet. They have to put the acknowledgments in, and I actually would like to thank Erin Ward and Melanie Wiston for their feedback on this video as well, on the script. So yeah, as soon as they just showed it to me on Thursday, so I said I want to bring this. So great, thank you so much.